happy. Be healthy. Be your best. Be your
Parasites. I have people ask me about parasites all the time. It kind of brings to mind that I remember growing up and when I first started in this field, 30 years ago, the only time I would hear about parasites was if somebody went on vacation. And like, let's say that they went to, I don't know, let's say they went to Mexico, right? They went to the beach, they went on vacation. They tried to be careful with the water, but they ended up having a few margaritas with the ice or whatever it was. And then they would come back and say, oh, I picked up a parasite in Mexico, or whether it was Germany, France, wherever they went. And I ended up with, if it came from Mexico when I was a kid, they used to call it Montezuma's revenge, right? And somebody would either get sick on vacation or sick when they got home. And for quite a while, it just seemed like people just thought that, well, they didn't have parasites unless they went somewhere and got a parasite, okay? Once I got into the field that I'm in, started realizing we all have parasites all the time. Every day we pick up parasites. They come from all kinds of different sources, and they actually can have a profound effect on health. In fact, if you think of somebody with a flat tire, let's say that they got a nail in the tire, right? And they go and they get it patched. And once they get it patched, they're able to pump air back into the tire. Well, sometimes parasites can be more damaging to the body than just a simple nail in a tire. It's more like having a railroad spike in the tire. And that's something that's not going to just recover from a simple patch. That takes some real time and some real effort, and most of the time a new tire. So what about parasites? Well, one of the misconceptions is a lot of people go and they will get tested and do like a stool sample in order to test for parasites. And the problem is, what I tell my clients is, here's the deal. Parasites don't like to hang out in the poop any more than you and I would. Where they like to hang out is in what I call the fine dining section. It's right outside the pancreas, right where the food has come out of the stomach, highly acidic, and then it goes into a alkaline reservoir from the bicarbonates and the amylase, protease, lipase, cellulase that comes out of the pancreas. And there, the food then is supposed to rapidly become alkaline, break down some more. And this is the area where a lot of times at the beginning of the small intestine or the duodenum area that you will find that there are parasites. They just pick up their spoon and fork and they like to compete with you for your nutrition. They like to go up and down the bile duct. We'll see different evidences when we do testing on people that the gallbladder is having an issue with some parasites, or the duct up to the liver, up and down. That whole area can end up having parasites. A lot of them are microscopic. It doesn't have to be that they're ginormous 16-foot-long tapeworms, but they still can compete with nutrition, and they can travel to other parts of the body. So where do they come from? Okay. If you're not traveling and you're just at home and you show up, you come to me and I say, wow, you got 32 frequencies for parasites, or 16 or 40 or however many show up that your brain picks out of a list that you've either had in the past, have now, or have some residual damage from. Well, one of the places can just be food. A lot of the parasites come through on our produce. It's one of the reasons why it's so important to clean your produce thoroughly, because a lot of those come in on your produce. Now, some of them like to take up residence and compete with you for your nutrition. Others just come in on the food and they just go on through, okay? But it still is something of concern. One of the things I would highly recommend is making sure that you clean your produce well. Some people like to use like a veggie wash. That's really good with wax and stuff like that and pesticides. But technically a really good wash for vegetables is a couple of teaspoons of plain Clorox bleach in a big sink full of cold water. Soak stuff for about 5 minutes or so. Take it out, rinse it well, air dry it. The colors will get brighter. Things get crisper. They last longer. And it literally can kill parasites, mold, fungus, bacteria, whole 9 yards. Okay. So that is one way that you could do your produce. Feel free to contact our office if you want more information on that one. Another source is sushi. I love sushi. Personally, I love sushi. And it's got a risk factor when it is raw fish. Some people only get California rolls because they want it to be cooked. If you are a sushi fan, I suggest that you, a couple times a year at least, do a parasite cleanse. Or maybe, as we'll talk a little bit later about, use something that you can take each day that razor blades and dries up the parasites. Another source can be pork. Okay. Pork, it's, ribs. Everybody loves ribs, right? Or pork chops. I had a client who swore to me that she did not eat pork for a couple of years, and she kept showing up as having parasites that had a pork start. And finally, after a couple of years, she was with me, and all of a sudden, she just went, "Oh my gosh, bacon. I eat bacon." And I started laughing, but since then, I've actually brought up with people, well, that includes bacon. And so many times I just get, "Oh, that's right. That's pork." Bacon's kind of the dessert meat of the meat world, and people don't always associate parasites with bacon. But if you like to eat bacon, if you like to eat sausage, even if you don't eat ham, you don't eat pork chops, you don't eat pork roast, and even if you don't care for ribs, you still might consider addressing the issue of parasites, even just from eating bacon. Another one is pets, okay? When we test people, they come up for canine diploidium, they come up for CAT, dogs and cats, okay? Who doesn't love their pets, all right? But sometimes I just have to talk to clients because they're like, "Well, why am I getting parasites? Why? Whatever." And I'm like, "Okay, this is just the way it works. Your pet licks its butt, and then it sits on the couch, or it licks its fur, and then you pet it. And then if every single time you don't wash your hands, you grab an apple, you eat the apple, guess what? For some people, let their pets come up and sleep with them on their bed. They are going to, over time, have some parasites that show up from dogs, cats, from their pets. The pets, my cat likes to lick my hair and lick my face. And I have a double doodle that likes to jump up and every once in a while get me like this. So it is a concern. It's something that needs to not be ignored, but just be addressed. My daughter, Chelsea, I actually got into this field because of my daughter. And she was getting sicker and sicker, sleeping 17 hours a day, really, really ill. And nobody could find what was wrong with her. And I took her to a homeopathic doctor in New England. And within 45 minutes, they found that she had a rare parasite that was because she had inhaled a spore related to malaria, and it had been hatching in her body. And she had over 750,000 larvae in her body. Western medicine had been trying to help her. They put her on antidepressants, inhalers. It was in her lungs. Had gone through the bloodstream. They didn't find any because of the way this particular parasite burrows. They didn't find anything. So they didn't know what to do. They put her on a diet of vegetables, brown rice for 3-4 months. She started passing stool where you could see legs and wings from parasites. She was not supposed to ever be able to have kids. She was close to systemic fibromyalgia and cancer. And that was not supposed to have kids, but now I have a 5-year-old Lily Grace for a granddaughter. I have a 3-year-old Luna. We call her Luna Tuna. And I have a 15-year-old Jameson, because they were able to address the cause of her parasite. Now, that was a rare case. Not everybody walking around is going to have that serious a situation, but it does show that it is something to consider. So one of the things that you can do for parasites is a food-grade diatomaceous earth, not the kind they have swimming pools with. Food-grade diatomaceous earth is something that veterinarians have used for years, and it's actually been found to be very effective for people as well. It goes in and teaspoon twice a day if you're a full-grown adult, less if you're kids. It can be given to pets as long as it's given in wet food or broth and poured on dry food. And when people take it, they need to take it with a liquid. But it goes in and it gently razor blades and dries up parasites. It's also been shown in some studies to help with oxidative cholesterol in the arteries, which is something that is of benefit. Another thing that can help with parasites is through the company that we work with, Nutridyne. You can set up an account on our website, and they have an awesome product that's called Paradex. And that's something that goes at it from an herbal standpoint. And so putting the two together, diatomaceous earth, which you just take Monday through Friday, take weekends off for a few months, and using the Paradex is a really good way to work with parasites. So I hope this helps you understand a little bit more that, yeah, parasites is something not to be afraid of, not to freak out about. Wash your produce, careful with your pets. You love sushi, careful with pork. Take these simple steps and then consider using Paradex or diatomaceous earth. It's something that can really help. And I hope this has helped you understand that subject, and look forward to talking to you again.
Be your best. Be your best. Be happy.